Thank you for that, gentlemen and Chet. Wow, 100% placement. That's fabulous. Now, the general hunting season is about to begin here in Montana, and that means many hunters will soon be bringing home big game. This week in Fish and Wildlife, we talk about what to do with that animal after you've packed up all that meat.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife, sponsored by your local Montana Toyota dealers.
Thursday morning time once again for This Week in Fish and Wildlife. We're on the road this morning with Morgan Jacobson. We're at the Cameron Bridge Fishing Access. The reason we're here is because this is a wonderful place for folks to come fish, access the river. It's not a great place for leaving your carcass. Let's talk about some of that issue that we're dealing with as we get ever closer to hunting season.
Yeah, so as we move into hunting season, part of the hunting process is knowing what to do with your animal carcass once you're finished processing it. And so really we want to tell people that leaving it in places like this is not an acceptable use of the carcass. Really, in Montana, you're allowed to leave the carcass at the site of the kill if you're on public land, or if you're on private land, you can leave it there with permission of the landowner. Once you take that carcass away from the kill site, it's your responsibility. And so at that point, after you're finished processing it, it has to go to a landfill. Leaving it here at a place like a fishing access site could come with penalties. So, for example, if someone is found littering while in the act of hunting or in related to hunting activities, it could come with suspension of their hunting privileges. And so, we want to avoid that. We want people to retain those privileges. And so, if once you're done with your carcass, you can take it to the landfill or put it in a dumpster and dispose of it that way.
There's a reason for that as well. I mean, other than the fact that this is an expense to the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife, Parks, if you leave it here, people have to come out and pick it up and take it ultimately to the landfill like you should have as well. But this is also can be a bear attractant. There's disease concern. I mean, there's a reason that you don't want that at a place like a fishing access.
Absolutely, Chet. There's so many reasons. One is it's a public nuisance, right? It detracts from the experience of other recreationists. Like you mentioned, it can attract bears and other problem situations, and so we want to avoid that. Also, as we talked about last week with chronic wasting disease, leaving a carcass in an area is a risk factor for spreading chronic wasting disease, especially if you've harvested that animal from a known CWD positive area and you leave that carcass somewhere else, you're potentially spreading that disease and risking your wildlife recreation opportunities where you live. And so, we want people to be aware of that being conscientious of how you harvest and dispose of your game animal can help slow the spread of chronic wasting disease, help keep predators out of these high recreation areas, and just make the experience more enjoyable for everybody.
So it's really simple. If you take the carcass out of the woods, it's yours.
That's right. So once you leave that side of the kill with the animal that you harvested, that animal's your responsibility. Once you process the meat, you can bag it up and put it in a dumpster or take it to a landfill and dispose of it that way. But leaving it at a fishing access site is not a great idea.
That's perfect. Again, Morgan Jacobson this morning at the Cameron Bridge Fishing Access site. A great place to come and fish or access the river. A really bad place to leave your carcass this hunting season. Morgan, thank you very much. And that's This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife was sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places.